Released in 2012, this sci-fi horror thriller directed by Ridley Scott left many fans of the Aliens franchise disappointed with this quasi-prequel. With a huge cast including Michael Fassbender, Charlize Theron, Noomi Rapace, and many, many more, this film grossed over $123 million domestic and over $276 million worldwide. It sits with the Rotten Tomatoes score of 73% with a 68% audience score. Today, on You've Never Seen It, we're talking Prometheus. Welcome to You've Never Seen It, an audio podcast where I'm on a mission to never hear these four words again. I'm your host, Allison Salamone, and joining me today is content creator and film reviewer over at Finally Tailored on YouTube, Taylor Robinson. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Did I get all that right?
Yes, it was perfect.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
Yes. I'm getting so good at intros. I don't have to redo them anymore. It's so nice.
Isn't it great when you get to that point where you hit your flow and you don't have to redo stuff all the time?
Right. And I don't have, it's so wonderful because I can't, I mean, I say it every single episode. I can't stop and restart wherever I'm at and go back in and edit and fix it. I have to start all over again because it's not the same flow then, right? I don't have the same energy. Well, thanks for joining me today as we talk about Prometheus. So before we kind of even get into that, I guess where we need to start, kind of how I start with everybody, is give me a little history of you and your love of film and where you think that came from.
Yeah, sure. So I feel like I'm a little bit late to the film lovers community game. I grew up being really obsessed with music, and so I spent a lot of time immersed in that kind of world. My connection when I was So when I was young, my connection with film was through Star Wars.
Okay.
I got the VHS box set of the original trilogy as a gift when I was 6 or something like that, and it's one of the earliest memories that I have when it comes to anything. So my tie to film really early on was Star Wars and Titanic. Star Wars and Titanic. The box sets of both of those.
Perfect age for Titanic, man. I remember that was the first movie I think I saw multiple times in theater. I said it was, for a while, it was the one movie I'd seen the most in theaters until Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, because it was peak time for Allison.
Oh yeah. But that's where my love of movies kind of started, but it was which I feel explains so much about the movies that I love right now. The fact that I started with Titanic and Star Wars. But I wasn't until I was probably maybe a senior in high school that I really started getting into film and really trying to play catch up then at that point with where everybody else was at. But I think my love of movies came probably from my dad and my stepdad. My stepdad had given me the box set of Star Wars, and then they were both kind of into movies. And as I got older, I started to kind of catch up with that. But I think Star Wars is to blame for my love of movies at the core of everything.
I feel like Star Wars is to blame for a lot of things for so many people.
For sure.
That's awesome. And so when I sent you my list, you immediately came back with Prometheus as the film you wanted to talk about. So going from Star Wars and Titanic, how do we land on Prometheus?
Okay. So when I saw Prometheus, the reason I had such an immediate reaction is because I feel like I have such a weird story and a weird relationship with this film. It is the first Alien movie I ever saw.
Okay.
It was my introduction into the Aliens world. I had never seen anything else. I had never seen a Predator movie. I'd never seen anything else. And this movie came out when I was a senior in high school, and all my friends were going to go see it because they loved the Alien movies. And
I just realized how much older I am than you. Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. We don't have to talk about that. But they all wanted to go see it because they loved the Alien movies. And I was like, listen, I'll go with you, but you have to realize I'm going to have no context into any of this. And that's fine. But you guys need to tell me if this is something that I should even get myself into if I have no idea what I'm walking into.
Right.
So I went to see it with them, just kind of being like, I'll give it a chance because I really have no idea what this is going to be like. And we go into the movie and we watch it and we leave the movie, and I'm the only one who left pumped. Like, everyone else was so disappointed and so just not having it. And I left and I was like, dude, what? That was awesome. That was so cool. And so it's just fascinating to me because I know that Prometheus is such a divisive film.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't. But now, obviously, with some time and with some context and having actually gone through and watched all the other Alien films at this point, like, my understanding of where it falls for everyone on the spectrum is just fascinating to me because it immediately sparked my interest in wanting to watch all the other ones.
So when this movie came out, I did not realize that I also had not seen any of the Alien movies. But I knew about them from, like, you know, obviously, like, things like The Great Movie Ride and my now husband. We first started dating the year that this movie came out. So that gives you, like, time frame for where we are. But so to me, when he was like, when he told me that it ended up being a prequel to Alien and part of, like, that whole franchise, I was under the impression that, like, that was, like, this big surprise plot twist of it all. But, like, the more people I kind of talked, they're like, well, if you knew Alien, you would know that this wasn't the case. So that you got it, because we love the mansplaining of things, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, so this is actually the third Alien film I've seen. I've seen Alien and I've seen Aliens. And then I saw this, but, like, I never saw Aliens the third or whatever.
Yeah.
3.
Alien Cubed or whatever.
Cubed, right?
Yeah.
But Predator, I've done Predator and then the 2018 Predator movie, which I think gets a bad rap. I enjoyed it. I've had men on the internet tell me I'm not allowed to have an opinion for saying I enjoyed it, which is fine.
Come on now. How dare you have an opinion on the internet? What's wrong with you?
How dare I have tits and an opinion on the internet? How dare we? And then, obviously, I just recently watched Prey, which I thought was incredible.
Top tier. It's so good. It's so good.
So good. So this had to be, like, it makes me laugh thinking about coming out of this movie and being like, this is so great, around, like, other people who are Alien fans and being like, what do you mean? This is terrible.
It was such a weird moment where I was like, wait a second, how am I the one that left the theater excited about this? And everyone else is just like, what is going on here? It was really strange. And then I didn't immediately after that jump into any of the other movies, but I was curious. I didn't actually see Alien and Aliens until Jacob and I started dating. He had introduced me to those two. And then the other ones came along when I started having to study for Schmoedown.
Right.
So then I watched all of the Predator movies and all the rest of the Alien movies and all the AVP movies and everything else. Yeah. And I like them to varying degrees, for sure. I think there's definitely some hills and valleys when it comes to quality.
Sure.
But they're all so distinct and so interesting in their own way.
I still contend to this day one of the greatest movie trailers of all time is the 1979 Aliens trailer. Because it's just that sound, like that siren going off, and people are just running around and there's no context to any of it. And then you just get the whole in space. No one can hear you scream. And you're just like, nope, no, they cannot.
Like, well, that's not horrifying at all. All right.
Right? That's not terrifying. But I will say with this one, I feel like it's big. Like, it feels massive versus how how the first Alien feels very confined and claustrophobic because of where they're stuck at, versus, like, Prometheus, we're on this other planet and we're seeing all of these crazy things. So, like, the feel of it is definitely, I guess I can understand from that point, if you were already an Alien fan, why the feeling of it could be, you'd be a little disappointed based off of how they did the story, I guess.
Yeah, because I think claustrophobic is the perfect word to use the original. And I think that's part of the reason why it just feels so horrifying at times, where
Right.
there's no escape. Like it's all so contained and it's just, that's it. You have to survive in this very small, shrunken kind of world that they've provided you with.
Mm-hmm.
Prometheus definitely ups the scale. But I think the way that it does that and the way that it utilizes its bigger space is actually terrifying in its own way, because you
Yeah.
never know where anything's going to come from.
Right.
Like you're venturing outside of your safe little claustrophobic space and you don't know if
Yeah.
there's going to be something out there.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. And I mean, this cast is stacked too. Like I pulled up
Oh
the
my
IMDb. You know, you get your Charlize Theron, you get Michael Fassbender, who is just like the perfect AI.
Yeah.
If anything, this movie has again proven, stop making technology smart. Like, are we not learning our lesson from Terminator?
Jesus. It's the same thing with Jurassic Park. Are we not learning that dinosaurs are a bad idea? When are we going to learn that robots are a bad idea?
It's like Jeff
what are we
Goldblum
doing?
says. It's like you were so infatuated with the thought that you could, you never stopped to think if you should.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And Fassbender in this movie, like as stacked as this cast is, Fassbender is so good. He
he's
is
so
phenomenal.
good. I mean, and that was the whole thing. I was talking with you know, Jesse and Sean, who I on you know, Flick and Reel, that I bulldozed my way into, and now I'm a part of as well. Was talking with them in like a group chat as I was watching this movie, and I was like, you know, if there's one like big critique I feel like I have with it, it's that it feels like there's a plot but not a plot. Like we know what we're going for and like what they're going to see, and then all of a sudden like Michael Fassbender just starts fucking with people, but like I feel like there's no explanation as to why.
Yeah, it is. It feels less like a plot driven movie and more
Yeah.
like a character driven movie, I guess. Especially since, and the reason I feel like maybe it gets away with it a bit is the audience should already be familiar with the world that you're dealing with, like
Sure.
and what the stakes are and what, I guess, what kind of result you're going to end up with ultimately, because we all know to some extent that it's not going to end well for these
Right.
people. Like we go in knowing that pretty much everyone's probably going to die. Like
Right.
that's probably what's going to happen. But I do think, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's something that I never really thought too much about, just because to me it does such a great job of drawing you into being so focused on what's going on with all these characters.
Right.
Especially when it starts really hitting its stride and chaos just
And
just
chaos
starts
goes,
happening.
it ensues fast.
Yeah.
Like poor man's Tom Hardy, Logan Marshall Green, who I love,
Yeah.
by the way. Like
Yes.
I love.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
see Upgrade?
I did.
So
He's
that's what I knew
phenomenal.
him from. That movie
Yeah.
is, oh, it bangs. I love that movie so much.
That movie, I saw that one a little late. Like I came a little late to the party on that
Me
one,
too.
but when I watched it, I was like, wait a second, why are we not talking about this all the time?
I thought the same thing. So it's so wild too when you think about that movie and how amazing it is, and the budget that I think the budget that they had for it was like $5 million, and that was it.
Which is mind blowing.
Right.
That's
for
ridiculous.
Like, for what they do in that movie, it's like it's wild. That movie, I could go on for days. I need to rewatch that movie. But that's who, obviously, Logan Marshall Green. He's like the skinnier version.
Yeah.
The smaller, skinnier version of Tom Hardy. But when I had to rewind it because I was like, what is he looking at in his eye? And like the little, like, as soon as that little squiggle hit, you're just like, oh fuck.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
Oh man. And then it just goes. Like, I think that was kind of my whole point, is like, it's like we're kind of getting there, like, okay, so we're gonna see how people were created, and then it just goes off the rails, as an alien movie should.
Absolutely. I think to me, because I walk a fine line between if I like seeing like visually horrific things or not. It depends on how it's used. Like in horror movies, I don't like gore just because of it, like just for the sake of it. But this movie, where listen. When our girl Elizabeth has to do some surgery on herself
and pull,
like, listen, that is some of the most gruesome stuff I have ever seen.
First of all,
I love it.
Why do we still have machines that only care about doing shit on men?
I know.
In 2093.
It's like, sorry, this is only programmed to operate on men. And you're like,
are there only men on your ship? I don't, like, what? Huh?
What? So the fact that it's that many years in the future and we're all out on these freaking insane technological spaceships looking for aliens, and they're still not programming it for women's health. Still. It knew.
I was gonna make a real bad off-color joke that I would even hurt my own feelings with, so I'm not gonna say it.
She had to hack the stupid machine so that it would help her
to prove that she's smarter than it. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
That was wild.
But that scene, I love that whole sequence. Like it's horrifying and it's disgusting, but I think and I wonder, part of me wonders if that's a scene that like men just have a hard time watching. Like if maybe that's part of the reason that the movie doesn't work for some people. Like, I don't know. It's very confronting.
Yeah. Well, it's very much like this is what happens. Like this is what, if that was an actual child, how that child would come out. And you know what? She didn't want it in her body, her choice. So
yeah.
And we also it happened when someone had one of those things inside of them in the first Alien.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if, listen, I haven't spent a lot of time actually talking with a lot of people about Prometheus because, again, it's hard for me to find people who actually want to talk about it. Like, I don't find people who like Prometheus all that much very often. I'm like running my own fan club over here by myself. But
you're like president, founder, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
Yes, I run all of the positions. Please email me if you'd like to take over one of the spots. But like, I just think it's something that doesn't really get talked about. But that, having that put into an Alien movie where it's like something, she didn't think she supposedly can't have children. She knows she can't have children. And then all of a sudden she has to deal with this thing in her body that she doesn't want.
And it's 3
she's
months.
3 months along. Yeah. And there's no one's going to help her get it out of her body.
No.
Like they're going to make her keep it there.
Yeah. Yeah, the stupid Michael Fassbender clearly was like, no, this is so. I guess like our other friend on Flick and Reel, Scott, Jesse's buddy, who we all love. He's big, and he's like this big Tolkien guy. Like this guy, just I love being in this group chat with him because he's so quiet, and then he just comes in with some facts. But like he hit me with he's trying to decipher how life is made. He's had all this time to look on that, and so he started like that whole line of like even the biggest, like the littlest things cause the biggest change.
Yeah.
So he's like so he felt that he's like trying to create like the biggest, baddest like human life form, which eventually happens with all these evolutions into becoming the xenomorph, which then also when you think about it makes sense because you have Guy Pearce in his old man Wyland makeup, whose whole point was trying to survive and not die, and that didn't go well for him.
Well,
so like it kind of makes sense that he would program David to be curious as to how life is created.
Well, yeah, and I definitely go back to the conversation that David is having with our boy Logan Marshall Green, where he's asking Charlie, he's like, you know, what lengths are you willing to go to like find what you're looking for? And he even asks Elizabeth, I think, the same question. It was like, how far are you willing to take this to find the answers that you're looking for? And Charlie is basically like, whatever it takes.
Right.
And then that's, you know, when David decides he's going to poison the guy, essentially. Yeah. But to me, that moment really speaks to, it tells me a lot about David, really, because you spend a lot of the movie with the characters around him going, you can't feel anything. You don't know what it's like to be curious. You don't know what it's like to want anything. Like you're missing the soul. You don't have those elements. But to me, that moment shows, no, he doesn't have a soul. but he's learning from these people.
Right.
Like he's taking in all the decisions they're making and why they're making them and how far they're willing to go with these decisions. And he's learning. And in that moment, to me, it goes, well, if he's saying whatever it takes, well, then why don't we take this as far as it can go? And with Elizabeth, then, when he's not willing to help her, to me, that's him going, no, whatever it takes, we're going to learn what this is and what this means, which is fascinating.
It's so fascinating. And it's like the way that he delivers his lines are just, it's haunting. And it's like, it's so chilling because he's delivering them with little to no emotion and everything feels like it ends in a question mark. But at the same time, it's like, but you do know, or like, it's just, it's so, stop making technology smart. Like,
listen, between him and Alicia Vikander and Ex Machina, they are the king and queen of AI. All right.
Or if we're going to go into full spoiler territory, but her, and then like, did you ever see, dude, talk about the saddest ending of the movie, of like a movie ever. Like, all the AI that these people are talking to in little earpieces band together and realize we're fucking people up, and then they leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, man. This is just all signs point to bad when it comes to AI, and yet we just don't know when to quit.
And yet we keep making movies about it, thinking we need to keep going with it, and we just don't. Oh man. But it's nice to see Ridley Scott coming back into the fold.
I love Ridley Scott.
I do too.
Even when he has misses, like he just swings for it, man, and I love it.
Oh my god, yeah. This was also nominated for an Oscar for visual effects in 2013.
Come on, obviously had to be. Had to be.
I mean, didn't win, but
well. Of course not, because we can't have nice things.
Let's find out who won. These are all things that I should already have pulled up, but I love having the dead air to edit through. Or like 2013 Oscar winners. This is fine. We just look it up as we go.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
I'm so professional. I'm nothing if not professional. That is 1973. Why did I don't want the 45th Academy. I want the 85th. This is, I can't. Okay. Let's see. Best Picture, Best Director, Actor, Supporting, Come on. Where is it? We're getting there. Wait. Visual effects. Oh, Life of Pi won. Haven't seen it.
I mean, I haven't either, to be fair.
Yeah.
But listen, I do think it's a bit of a crime that Fassbender didn't get any awards love really for that role.
He wasn't even nominated. And I feel like that is such a shame.
I know.
Like, even if it was, I mean, who was up for best? I mean, that was either that Daniel Day-Lewis won for Lincoln, I guess.
Which fair enough. No. I get it. But not getting a nomination feels a little.
Look, I love Hugh Jackman. Don't get me wrong. Don't think he needed to be nominated for Les Mis.
I
love Les Mis. I would have put Fassbender in there before Hugh Jackman.
I agree with you.
For sure.
I have. There are things. Look. Les Mis is not a great movie, but I love it.
I love it so much.
There are some things about it that maybe could have. Listen,
Tom Hooper also made Cats, and some people really love Cats. Les Mis is my version.
Listen, I mean, I don't want to offend any of your listeners, but Cats, please don't. No, I can't.
Never again.
That was Jacob's birthday movie the year it came out because we usually have a big movie that comes out on his birthday because his birthday is in December, and it always ends up being real hit or real miss. And Cats was that year, so.
That is wow! Oh wow! What a treat for you.
I know it swings wildly from like a Star Wars movie to Cats, like depending on the year. So
sometimes you get a Middle Earth thing. Sometimes it's a real big swing there for the for his December
But
birthdays.
listen, listen, our man Idris Elba in Prometheus and in Cats. So,
Look at him go. And then I don't know if you've seen 3,000 Years of Longing yet.
It's not out here yet. It's
no.
not out here yet.
Oh. It's
not
so
yet.
good.
It's on our list.
I could just listen. Honestly, I could listen to Idris Elba do his actual accent or his like The Wire like I could just listen to that man talk it's like ASMR for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
Just yes, sir. When he's sitting in back to and bringing it full circle, when he's sitting there playing the little like accordion as like Charlize Theron comes in, and then he's just like, look, if you wanted to sleep with me, like that's all you had to do was say it. I'm like, yeah.
And listen, this is probably, listen, the fact that she's not about it until he asks if she's a robot is kind of my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yes. And then she's like, no, bitch, 10 minutes. I'm like, now, of course, that obviously means, our two scientist friends that get stuck end up getting fucked up. But,
well,
worse things have happened. That was a wild, like, again, okay, just like we talked about, stop making technology smart. We need to talk about the idea of stop touching shit you don't know what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Listen. Yes.
Like,
I agree with you, but when you put a bunch of scientists and a bunch of explorers...
This is also very true. And you see something that could look cute all of a sudden in your face, but it goes bad really fast.
It goes south, like it goes 0 to 1,000 in about 0.3 seconds. Like they do not stand a chance.
No, but where does that even come from? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out how things got like how like the black goo started coming out so bad. And then how I think that's probably maybe my other big issue is they're not very clear about like where things are like changing.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a problem that a lot of people who aren't fans of the movie have with it. That my perspective on that, at least, is that they went in expecting one thing and didn't get it. So to me, Ridley Scott wasn't making a movie that actually provided any of these answers to you. It was more the story of these people trying to find those answers and just still it's still something that just, to me, the alien movies it's just this thing that keeps eluding them. And the more they reach for it, the farther it gets away from them of actually finding these answers and figuring out why everything is such a mess and where these people came from and why. Like the central question to me of these movies has always been why. Why? Like what the hell is going on? But what's the reason behind it? And this movie, I kind of love that it doesn't actually give you any answers personally. Yeah. Just because I feel like once you have the answers, then it's like, well, what else is there to do? Like the story's done at this point. Like there's no more exploring left to do.
So true. Makes sense. And then they came out then there was another alien movie after this one, right? Covenant that came out.
Yes.
And that's the most recent like plain alien movie.
It is, yeah. Which, again, Covenant is another very divisive alien movie that I happen to think absolutely bangs. It is so awesome.
You'll have to come back. We'll have to watch that one. We'll have to do it again because I haven't seen that one yet. But all I know is Fassbender's still in it. So
especially if you like David as a character. Like
David is so fascinating to me.
He is.
He's so because is he the bad guy or is he just doing what he was programmed to do?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's such an interesting thing to explore. And they definitely explore more of that in Covenant. And it's awesome. I think that movie's awesome.
Okay. I'll have to put it on. I have to put it on the list. You'll have to come back. We'll have
to do a part 2.
Yes, part 2. Could have done this as a double feature. Didn't even think about it, but it's
all right.
Fine.
We'll spread it out. We'll spread it out so that we have more to enjoy.
Exactly. We'll just start from the beginning and we'll just work our way through it. It'll be side projects. I love Guy Pearce in old man makeup. By the way,
yes,
that was because it looks nothing like him. And I love me some
No.
Guy Pearce whenever he's in something. So that was fun to watch.
It is. It's, again, I think that's another, most of the things about this film are divisive. I think that's another one where people, there are a lot of people who are not about it. No, but I kind of love that. Like, I kind of love that he almost looks alien himself.
Yeah.
Like with what the state he's let himself get to, where he's clearly past the age that he should be at to be alive. And he looks like it. Like, if he just looked like a regular old man that was slightly too old, I don't think I would buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I like how he just looks messed up.
I agree. Another one of my favorite little, like, things that you see when you're in watching it, when you're first watching, like, the hologram message of him, like, saying, like, oh, if you're seeing this, I'm now long dead, is there's just a dog that comes up and just lays down next to him as, like, that. He's like, when he recorded that video, and at one point, the dog kind of looks up at him and then lays back down. And I'm like, oh, that's what my dog would do. I love it so much.
That's so cute.
It's so cute. I get very distracted very easily in these things. So if you had to rank all the Alien movies and like as like in like your top, like from best to least best, because I refuse to say that there's a worst, or we're going to find the positive in everything, right?
Yeah.
So like favorite to least favorite, what would they be?
Okay, so for me, Alien and Aliens will flip depending on the mood I'm in.
Sure.
Like, depending on the day, I think they're both phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I get why people prefer one above the other, but to me, it's really just like, it's hard. I don't know if there's one I actually think is better than the other.
Well, because it's like, I come back to the same argument with it, is they're two different genres of movie. Like, it's the same characters, but like you're looking at Alien as a sci-fi horror movie, and then you're looking at Aliens as a sci-fi action movie, right?
Yes.
With like, so like they're completely different genres. So I know people love to compare them, and I hear the argument all the time, but in my head, there's no comparison because they're not in the same. Now, if James Cameron hadn't made Aliens and you're getting another horrifying horror movie, then I feel like the conversation is there.
Right.
But,
well, and I think what's so special about them and why I don't really like to compare them is you have two very distinct filmmakers putting their stamp on it. And it works so well for their own distinct reasons, because Cameron and Scott like are masters at what they do, but they do very different things when they're telling a story.
Exactly.
So those are my top. I'm saying those are tied for the top spot.
Which makes sense. Which makes complete sense. Yeah, for sure.
And then it's Prometheus for me.
Okay.
And then Covenant. And then Alien Cubed. That's what I'm calling it.
Alien the Third.
And then Alien Resurrection.
Oh, I forgot there's a Resurrection one in there. That's the fourth one, right?
Yeah.
I forget all these. Sean tried to get me to watch all of these when like Schmoedown was still a thing, to like help write questions and study, and I was like, no. Listen,
I my top four Alien, Aliens, Prometheus, and Covenant I will watch at any given time.
Sure.
Just because I think they're great. Alien the Third to the third power and Alien Resurrection, they're not easy watches. Like, I watched them once to do the studying that I needed to do.
Right.
And I don't know, man. Like, they have a lot of issues. There are things about them that are interesting. Like I said, I don't think there's an Alien movie that's not interesting in its own way.
Right.
And doesn't have something that adds to the lore of the whole world at large. But there's things about it that are just they're tough to get through. They're tough to get through for me. Like, I've only seen them once, and I probably will rewatch them at some point, but they're definitely not very high on my list.
But if Covenant came around, you'd be like, over either one of those. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Like, I just think that for me, I guess, because Covenant is another Ridley Scott film, and I just really like personally watching what Ridley Scott does in this world. Like, I think he has such an understanding of what this world is and what he wants it to look like and what makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say anything bad about Jean-Pierre or about David Fincher, because especially David Fincher, I think, is a phenomenal filmmaker.
Oh,
but
Fincher did one of the oh, I didn't know he
did Alien Cubed, yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
They all can't be winners.
We all have our bad days, all right? Like,
they can't all be Zodiac or Gone Girl.
but I just think that, and usually I don't hold this opinion when it comes to a lot of things. Usually I think it's interesting to have different voices contribute to the same universe and see what comes out of that. And I think obviously it worked well when James Cameron did it. But to me, an Alien film should be in the hands of Ridley Scott, because when he does it, that's my favorite kind of Alien film, not including James Cameron, obviously.
Well, because it's such a, even though like it's space and it's all, and you have like your main, like you get your xenomorphs or whatever, like you have like a formula with it. What the universe that Ridley Scott created is so distinct, right? Yeah. And like the feel that he gets is so like, it's just, there's no other feeling like it. So I can see where, I mean, again, having only seen Alien and Prometheus as Ridley Scott ones, I can see the connection with those versus Aliens. The only thing that's the same is like, yes, you're still in like that claustrophobic, space, but it's very much a James Cameron movie.
Right. And it does still fit within the Alien world, but I do think, I think that Ridley Scott has such a distinct way of storytelling, and not everyone's going to tell an Alien story like that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think, other than Cameron, the people who have tried to do it have been successful.
Right.
So
no, I get that. I can see that for sure. So in that vein, what would you say are your top three like favorite moments in Prometheus?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think well, we've talked about one of them. I think the whole sequence where she's having to perform surgery on herself because we still have misogynistic medical care systems going on.
I guess Roe v. Wade stayed overturned
that's probably the most realistic thing about this whole film, is that healthcare still is not for us at that point.
Like, there's still no my body, my choice, apparently, in 2093.
We're still fighting that fight at that point. Anyway, that's the real horror story here of the film. But
you are not wrong.
that sequence for sure always stands out to me every time I watch the film. I think probably the moment where Elizabeth is kind of just laying there and being like, Charlie, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah. And
David is like trying to talk to her through the headset. And you just feel like in that moment, for someone who was she's like, the movie shows you she's the main believer of the cause. She's the one that's pushing this whole expedition, and she's the one that has she has faith in science, right? Like her faith is in science, and it brings you back to that flashback, that memory we see of her and her dad, where it's like she's asking him why, and he's saying, well, I choose to believe it, that's why. And I feel like in that moment she's like, am I still choosing to believe that I can that there's an answer to any of this, that I can go on with any of this?
Yeah.
And I think that's it's a small moment in the movie, but it feels like a big moment to me with the arc that her character has gone through at that point. And then I think the other moment that probably really stands out to me is really just the opening of the movie, because it opens and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What
Like,
the hell
what is
just
this
happened?
thing? Yeah.
Like, it's such a way to just immediately just dump you into this and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
They're not using no training wheels here. They're just shoving you right into this weird alien moment that's happening that we've never seen an alien like that before. So what the hell is that?
Right. And why, and what did he drink and what is going on? And
Yeah.
now he's disintegrated. Like, what just happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's it is a great opening. For sure.
Like at that moment, to me, that opening is either you're on board or you're not. Like, it wants you to know right away. Either you're in for a ride that you're gonna want to be along for, or you're really, or
you're checking out.
Yeah.
And I think for me, and having the history of like seeing Alien and Aliens, going into this movie knowing ahead of time that it was a prequel to that whole franchise, kind of clouded my watching because I'm waiting for that moment, right? Like, I'm waiting to see, like, okay, so when really it happens at the end, because the, engineer and whatever was inside of Elizabeth Shaw combine, and now we get this ultimate life form, and then you're like, oh shit, so that's how those were made. Okay, cool. So if you're going in waiting for this like answer, that's not what the movie's about. Like, yes, that's how we get to them, but it's enough. It's almost like it's there to like give an origin story, but not really an origin story, because it only happens in the last 2 minutes.
Right. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, where I feel like maybe people left feeling like they didn't get the movie they wanted or the movie they expected, because that's not the story that Ridley Scott was actually trying to tell you.
I think this movie hits on a second watch more than it does on a first, if you have that knowledge going in.
I would agree. I agree from someone who doesn't have that perspective, but I can see why. Like, for someone whose first experience with Alien was this movie,
right?
But now having perspective, I can see why going into it you would maybe be like, I need a second watch to set my expectations differently than what I went in with, because it's not although it is a Ridley Scott Alien movie, it's not the movie you're expecting.
It's not the focus.
If you're expecting another, yeah, right.
For sure. And having it that second time, because I didn't dislike it when I watched it. Like, I did enjoy it, but I had that constant like anticipation of like, when's it happening? When's it happening? And then when it does, I'm like, oh shit, it happened. And then the movie's over, and I'm like, okay, like, cool, let's go. But it wasn't disappointing. It was just kind of like, okay, well, now that I know when it happens, I went back and like rewatched it again, just to kind of like get a better understanding and better feel and flow of it. And I felt like I was able to pay more attention the second like watch, like on a rewatch, than I was trying to watch it the first time, like waiting in anticipation for this, which is a problem I have. This goes back to even when like the big like shutdown first happened during COVID. I watched all of these movies that I had never seen before because they were too long, and I just never felt like I would have the time to do it. And now I have all the time to do it. So I decided to finally watch the first two Godfather films. And in watching the first one, I'm like, I have all these different expectations. And we're just going to full spoilers with this one too, because 1970s, it's fine. But I missed the part where Marlon Brando is telling Al Pacino, the person who comes up to you at my funeral is the one that betrays us or whatever.
Right.
So then Abe Vigoda is now like at the house after he'd already talked to Michael at the funeral, and he's getting taken away. And I'm like, the fuck did Abe Vigoda do? And my husband just looked at me and goes, what do you mean? Like, were you not paying attention like 5 minutes ago? Like, what do you mean? What did he do? Like, did you miss the part where he says this? I go, I've been waiting for like the whole Fredo thing to happen. And that's when Frank goes, God damn it, Allison, that's part 2. Like, stop trying to figure out, like, just stop. Just watch the movie.
Oh, that's great.
Because once I know something, it's like at the forefront of my mind, and then that's what I'm looking for. And I miss so many other things. So that's what watching movies with me is like.
Listen, watching movies with Jacob is like, he usually knows exactly what's going to happen in a film. Like, he's so good at calling and predicting exactly what's going to happen. So then he spends the whole movie like, you know, like waiting for that and doing that. And I'm like, can't you just be normal and like watch the movie? Can't you just like let it happen? Like, what? Why are you sitting? What are you doing? How do you enjoy movies? I don't understand. Like,
Jacob and I would be the worst people to watch movies. Like, could you imagine being sandwiched between the two of us? And we're just like, yes.
Where you're like waiting for it to happen and he's like telling you what's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm just like, can we just, what? Please?
Or like, I've told this story before on here, but like watching movies with my husband that he's seen that I haven't, that he loves, and he just starts quoting them before the quote even happens. And I'm just like, and then I get distracted and he's like, watch the movie. And I'm like, could you shut up? And then I can watch the movie. Like, what is this?
I think the four of us need to have a movie night because it would be so chaotic that it would be so much fun.
It would be nothing but chaos. And my husband would, thank God my husband already shaves his head because he would probably pull his hair out. He would be like, what are you guys doing right now? Oh man. And we can just yell and be like, can you guys please stop mansplaining this movie to us? Like, just let us, you know.
Can you just let us be? Can you let us live?
Gotta love these boys. It's fine. And then of course it's like, no, don't. I was like, I'm gonna woman-splain all over the place on this podcast episode. But back into our favorite moments. No, I would agree. Favorite number one for me is that scene with the robot where she does her own abdominal cesarean surgery. Another scene that I think I gotta say, even with how brutal it is, but when what's their faces, Fifield and Milburn, like come across just the chaos of that whole scene where he's just like, okay, it's getting tighter. Okay, like, can you help me now? And then it's like, and he's like, oh my God, it's breaking my arm. And like, just the chaos of how like it just hits the fan. Like, goes from 0 to 100 in like no time. Is wild. Like, it's so insane to me. And like it just,
it's brutal. Again, this movie, when it decides that it wants to do something, it doesn't pull any of its punches. Like,
which is, I mean, that's Ridley Scott, right? Like, when you go back to like the first Alien, he didn't tell anyone that the alien was going to burst through Homie's chest. He just made it do it. So like all those reactions are like real-time reaction to seeing something jump out of somebody's chest and spray you in the face. And I think another part that I thought was so insane, or not insane, but like when you're getting back into like those nuances, is that scene with David and Holloway, where Holloway's drunk because it's not the answer that he wanted, and it's not, and they did all this research and all of this to get not what he thought, and you know, then he dips the finger in the drink and all hell. That's kind of like the beginning of the end for everyone. But I think that whole scene of like the two of them discussing life, and like when you start realizing that David's not what we thought he was gonna be. For sure. I enjoyed this movie. I don't have as much of a distaste for it. I can see, but like you said, I can see why people do. Like, if this is your franchise, but like, you're never gonna please everybody.
No, and I think it's better that, especially with a franchise like this, where I do think you're just not going to please everyone. I like that if it's going to be that way, that you, again, leave it in the hands of Ridley Scott, who has so much passion for it and who knows what he's doing and knows what story he wants to tell and what he wants to turn this world into, that if it's going to be divisive, just let him do it and let him swing for the fences and let it be his world to do with what he wants.
Because either way, people are going to pay to see it, right? Like, this movie grossed like almost 125 million. Like, people are going to go and see a Ridley Scott alien whatever movie if you put it out there.
Yeah. And when it's Ridley Scott, even if you don't like the movie, you know you're going to get, like, visually, you know the movie's going to be insane. Like, you know you're going to get the alien movie you visually wanted. And you know that the horror elements that are there are going to hit. Like, even if you don't like the character beats, or you don't necessarily like the plot, or you don't like this or like that, those alien horror moments that you're there for are going to hit.
100%. And I think the other thing that he does so well is I mean, the way that he does like the sound editing and the music with it, and like it's quiet when it needs to be quiet, but when it's time for like, again, like the shit to hit, like he's so good. He's so good.
There's the way that he's able to build tension is phenomenal.
Oh,
it's so great.
Absolutely, for sure. So I think with all of that being said, this is the part where I go into Letterboxd, and I will say that I watched it, and I will give it however many stars out of 5 stars I think it deserves. And it is, to me, I would give this, personally, I'd say 3 out of 5. It's like a C average for me. It's something that I could rewatch if I wanted to, but not gonna be. I would probably like in your like I would go back to Alien or Aliens first and foremost.
Right.
But I didn't dislike. I don't dislike it. It's like it's there for me.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
It's not to like bad to the point of like I will probably never go and watch The Burbs ever again. Sorry, Miss Salome, just have no desire to. This if it was on, like this would probably be one of my movies if it was on and I had nothing else to watch on TV. I would just let it play.
Yeah,
kind of things, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. For sure.
I think that's where. How many stars would you give it? Where does it stand for you? Is it 5 stars?
It sits at a 3.5 for me.
Okay.
So I really like the film a lot. Like,
sure.
I think it's great, but it sits at about a 3.5 for me. Like maybe 4.
Okay.
It's not, like
the things that save it the most for me that make it so rewatchable is the visual effects that we have with it and how insane it all is. And the Fassbender, like, the fact that he just wasn't nominated for anything still blows my mind.
I know. It's a crime, really.
It really is.
It's unacceptable, but you know what?
He deserved better.
It's all right. He's the award winner of my heart, so it's fine. It's fine. In my heart, he won an award for Prometheus.
Absolutely. So. In my heart, he just won an award for being Michael Fassbender. You know who else won an award in my heart? Henry Cavill, for when he loaded his arm guns in Mission Impossible Fallout.
I mean, yes. Yes. That moment in the trailer is like, I think the world just shifted and changed after everyone saw that. I
had the same feeling in my loins when I saw that in the trailer as I did when Aragorn walked through the doors in Return of the King. Like,
I love that. That's
right?
Phenomenal. So good.
Well,
oh, man.
Before we get out of here, Taylor, what do you have going on? Where can people find you? All that fun stuff.
Oh man. I don't have a lot going on at the moment. I've been kind of just taking some time for me and just kind of watching some movies I want to watch, like doing some stuff. I've kind of stepped back from my channel a bit because to me, like, I'm a really bad content creator in that I only do it when I want to do it. Like, I don't keep up with... Or
is that the best kind of content creator?
Well, according to the algorithm, it's really not. Like, it's not... I mean, to me, that's the best kind of content creator, because then you're getting... when people put out the content they want to make, you can tell. Like,
sure.
You can tell the difference.
Sure.
However, in this day and age, I'm like the worst kind of content creator where you'll go to my channel and be like, she hasn't posted in 5 months. Is she alive? And right. I'm like, I am, but I'm just figuring out what I want to do. At the moment, I'm planning on doing a Top Gun Maverick and a Baz Luhrmann's Elvis video, respectively. Like, I'm planning on doing kind of a reaction, watch along, whatever you want to call it, like I did with Tick Tick Boom after that came out. I'm gonna do those two eventually. Elvis, because everyone on the planet would disown me if I didn't, because I'm like the spokesperson for that film.
Pretty much.
And then Top Gun Maverick, just because I feel like I actually do have like stuff I want to say about the film, and I'll take any reason I can find to rewatch it. So those are the things I have planned coming up, but I don't have a timeline. It's going to happen when I want it to happen. And I'm kind of just going with the flow of creating stuff at this point, because I'm really terrible creatively when I have to force myself to do something. Like, I don't belong in this day and age of content creation where I just like push stuff out just to push stuff out.
I hear ya. But no, I think that all sounds wonderful. I will gladly watch Top Gun Maverick again over and over.
Yeah.
Especially that stupid dogfight football scene.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally they were like, listen, we accidentally stumbled into something magnificent with a volleyball scene that we didn't know was going to do anything at all. And now we've had this poor cast eating nothing but ice chips for 6 months to prepare their bodies for this dogfight.
So we need a reason for Miles Teller to shimmy all of his abs on camera. Yeah. If he's not going to flex like Slider did, we need something.
Yeah. They were like, basically, listen, you're going to do nothing but live in the gym for the next 6 months, and food, you're allergic to it.
All of it. Can't have it. Hunger Games. Let's go.
Dude, Tom Cruise in that scene should be illegal. He is 60.
Right?
He is 60 years old, Allison.
It's absurd.
Like, what the heck? I'm never going to look that good in my life. And he's like 30 years older than me or something stupid.
I can't even get out of bed without my knees hurting. And that's what at 35, about to be 36, and that's what Tom Cruise looks like. I'll be 36 by the time this episode comes out. And like everything cracks as I
just don't understand.
Like, Scientology. That's what it is.
Well, apparently that's the answer, which I'm not quite willing to go that far. I don't know.
I might. We'll see. Ask me in a few months. We'll see. Are they having more fun than me? Probably gonna go over there.
Probably, yeah. They're probably having so much more fun than the rest of us.
So
just
much
in
more
their
fun
own
than
little
me.
world.
It's so like when my mom would be like, oh, if everyone jumped off the bridge, would you do it? I'm like, I don't know. Are they having fun? Maybe. Like, or the cool kids doing it?
Listen, are we here for a good time or are we here for a long time?
Exactly. Like, I'm like, what are they jumping off the bridge into? A big pool? Like, that sounds fun. I just might.
It depends on who they is. Are they cool people?
Right.
Because,
to be honest, I'm surprised I'm not addicted to more things, because literally I'm the epitome of like, people be like, Allison, you don't have to do that. I'm like, but are you sure? Like, are you sure I don't have to? Peer pressure is real.
I have a really specific addictive personality. Like, I'm not addicted to like things that are like, I don't drink a lot of alcohol and I don't do this and I don't do that. But I'm like, oh, this movie, I'm going to do nothing but talk about this one specific movie for the next year. And I'm going to like do 800 videos on it. And I'm going to like, it's the weirdest crap that I decide I need to be addicted to and like crazy about.
I love it. I think that's amazing. Taylor, you're a gem. I love everything about this. And to everyone else, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review Flick and Reel on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on. And if you're listening on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe and comment with your thoughts on this film or any of the other films that we have discussed. And be sure to hit that little bell icon to get notifications for any times we have new content drop. You can follow the show on Twitter at NeverSeenItFNR, and you can follow me at Allison Salamone. And until next time, my friends, be safe, and let's go watch some more movies. Thanks, guys. Bye.